What's going on, guys, and welcome to another Doctor Who review. Today I'm going to be reviewing the 12th Doctor Peter Capaldi story, The Eaters of Light. Now this is a story from series 10, Peter Capaldi's final series, and it is relatively largely known and considered the weakest story of series 10. I think the Monk trilogy is also up there, but generally I think, at least as a one-off episode, this is definitely the one that people consider to be the worst, and in a lot of ways a big letdown because this one's written by Rona Munro, who was a classic writer for Doctor Who. I'm pretty sure she wrote Survival, the final episode of the classic series, so people were really excited when we heard that she'd be writing an episode for series 10. But then this one came out and it was a bit of a disappointment for most people. So yeah, I watched it again today to see, when I put a kind of analytical review mind on when watching this one, what I would think. So yeah, let's get started with the cast. Peter Capaldi as the 12th Doctor. Yeah, he is really good in this one. He has plenty of funny moments in this one, like when he throws the popcorn into the fire to cause a distraction. That's funny. He has a little moment, you know, when it's like, oh, it's really dark here, and it's like, oh, no, that's what it was. It was like, oh, I think Nardole says, oh, it's like really wet and just kind of meh here, and he's like, yeah, it's Scotland. And that's just funny, you know, Peter Capaldi being from Scotland himself. And yeah, there are quite a few funny little moments here. He has his little banter with Bill as well about whether there are any Romans left from the 9th Legion. He doesn't think there will be, she thinks there is. So yeah, quite a lot of good stuff here from Peter Capaldi. He does a good performance. We've also got Pearl Mackie as Bill Potts, who is fine in this story. Not gonna lie, a little bit annoying in the story, I think. You know, although I like the bickering at the start between her and the Doctor, she does seem like a bit of a, ooh, I know everything, and I mean, to be fair, she kind of turns out that she is correct, so props to her there. But yeah, I do find her a little bit annoying. You've also got the stuff where she's with the Romans and she gets a bit fangirly, which is somewhat understandable, okay. And then there's a whole thing where, you know, she has to bring up her kind of, oh no, I'm actually a lesbian thing, which I haven't actually written down as a bad point in this one, because, you know, thinking about it, yeah, I guess if it happened with another character and they weren't, you know, they were just straight or whatever, unless it was happening all the time, I probably wouldn't mention it. I do still think that she mentions the whole lesbian thing a bit too much throughout the series. However, maybe it's just me, you know, I don't pick up on it as much when it's just a straight person, but whereas this time it kind of, I don't know, so I'm not going to bother commenting on that throughout these kind of series 10 videos, because I don't think it's really a point that I need to cover, and honestly, maybe I'm just being a bit nitpicky with it. So yeah. Then we've also got Matt Lucas as Nardole, who is pretty funny in this one. Actually has quite a few funny little moments, like, you know, when he's like, oh, what was it? They find one of the Roman soldiers has died, and the Doctor's like, all the light's been sucked out of him, and Nardole's like, and he's like, oh, you know, killed from the dark, and Nardole's like, yeah, killed by Scotland, because it's always dark and gloomy. So yeah, plenty of funny moments for Nardole in there too. Alright, on to the good. I've mentioned this before, the Doctor throws the popcorn in the fire to create a distraction. I think that's really funny. Basically, he wants to create a distraction from the Celtic people to get away, so he throws the popcorn in the fire, and the woman, you know, he throws it in the fire a little bit before, and then the woman's, after a few seconds, is like, who are you? And the Doctor's like, well, let me explain. Perfect timing, the popcorn starts going off, they're like, what the hell's going on? And the Doctor and Nardole run off. So I think that's just a really funny little moment. The Doctor's plan is to guard the gate himself. So basically, at the end, they have to guard the gate until the sun goes down to keep the monsters inside. Problem is, with the way this gate works, basically when you're in the gate, time passes a lot quicker on the outside world, so humans just go in there, and after a few seconds they're dead, and it doesn't really work out for them. They don't have enough time to guard the gate. So the Doctor says that he will do it because he can just keep regenerating. He can basically go on forever, and that is his plan all along. That plan ends up getting thwarted, and goes on to my next point of all of the Roman 9th Legion soldiers, and I think a couple of the Celtic people as well. They end up going in kind of one by one and guarding the gate, and that's how they decide to do it. I really like that moment. I think at the end when they all come together like that is really good. Maybe a little bit forced, but I think it's a pretty good end to the episode. And then we've also got right at the end the Doctor trying to make Missy good. Of course, this would come more into fruition with the next two-parter and the finale, World Enough in Time and the Doctor Falls. But it kind of starts here, you know, Missy's kind of wanting to be good, and she somewhat looks like she might be going in the right direction towards the end of this episode. So yeah, it's an interesting setup for what is to come in the finale. So on to the bad, there are a few points to go for. The Doctor lets Bill go wandering alone in Roman times, just completely, you know, Celtic, they're in Scotland, Roman Legion, all that sort of stuff. He just, even though he thinks, oh yeah, there's not going to be any Romans around, he just lets her go wandering off on her own, which I find to be ridiculous, because even if he was so sure that there weren't going to be any Romans around, it was all going to be good, the Doctor, wherever he goes, something bad always happens, so to just let her go wandering on her own, I think it's a little bit ridiculous, and yeah, just, I don't know, just not very smart, really, I think. Bill smacks the Doctor over the head, you know, when he decides that he wants to guard the gate. She's like, no, and then the other people are like, we want to guard the gate, and the Doctor's like, no, you can't. So for whatever reason, Bill just smacks the Doctor over the head with one of those light paddle things they had to fend off the creature. Yeah, doesn't knock him out or anything, just kind of gives him a smack over the head, and he's on the floor like, why did you do that? Seemed a little bit random and a bit mean by Bill, I'm not going to lie. And then the other bad thing I've got to say is that the crows all say car now, because they're saying the Celtic woman's name. Of course, the episode starts with the crow saying like dark, and it's kind of also sounds like it's saying doctor, but I think it's really just saying dark. Don't really know what that whole doctor thing was about, just a random little thing to put in there as a bit of a kind of opening cliffhanger sort of thing. But yeah, apparently now the crows say car. That's the noise that a crow makes because they're saying this woman's name, apparently. Okay, bit random. Once again, maybe a little bit nitpicky, but I don't know, it's just a bit like, okay, so they're just going to say car now because she went into this gate and guarded off this thing, even though she wasn't the only one to do it. Remember, all these Roman soldiers from the Ninth Legion also did it too, but they're just going to say car. They're just going to remember her and say her name for the rest of eternity. Yeah, I don't know. Also, it's not a point that I really put down, but it's just a general thing for this episode. It's just not that interesting. I find this episode just a little bit bland. I mean, I think this is the third time I've watched this now. I watched it first when it first came out, and I wasn't the biggest fan, but I didn't hate it. Then I rewatched it when I did kind of a run through of the whole series 1 to 10, and I didn't mind it. I mean, it still wasn't my favourite thing ever. I still wouldn't consider it even average, slightly below, but I didn't mind the episode when I rewatched it the second time. This time though, you know, watching it with a more kind of analytical review style nature, yeah, it's just a really bland episode, honestly. Not a lot happens. You don't see a whole lot of the creature. And ultimately, it's really dark all the time. The lighting is a bit crap. Yeah, generally, it's one of those episodes where there's a few funny little moments for Nardole and the Doctor, and that's about it. The characters aren't massively interesting, and altogether, it just feels like a bit of a bland story. So a rating for the Eaters of Light, I'm going to give it a 5 out of 10, which is pretty harsh because I think when I watched it last time and I was kind of thinking in my head what I'd give it, I think I was like, yeah, it's probably like a 6 out of 10, but no, I honestly think I've got to go for a 5 out of 10. I'm going slap down in the middle, but that's not average. Average score for me is like a 7 out of 10. So a 5 out of 10 is not a great score, but yeah, I knew this one wasn't great, but going into it, I thought it was better than it was, but honestly, there's nothing downright awful about it. It's just a very bland episode, in my opinion. So, yeah, a 5 out of 10 for the Eaters of Light. So, let's go and see what episode we will be reviewing next time. Alrighty, so we've got the TARDIS full of episodes here. Remember, if we draw out another 12th Doctor story, we will redraw it, because I don't do back-to-back Doctors. Any other Doctor is fine. Give it a bit of a shake up, open her up, and let's see what episode we're going to review next time. Alrighty, so our next review, new series review on the channel is, oh okay, Vincent and the Doctor, 11th Doctor story from series 5, one of, if not my favourite 11th Doctor story. So, yeah, definitely looking forward to rewatching that one again. I do love this story. I think it's just a great story on so many levels. So yeah, looking forward to reviewing Vincent and the Doctor next time. Anyway, that's going to be it for this video, guys. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed, please go ahead, like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.